Moneyline and the 45's. Both of these teams should be two of our better major teams. Weather very chilly, strong breeze blowing out to right field today. And for those of you tuning in, this is Chicago's 16-inch style softball. And run through some rules for you. 60-foot bases, can lead off, you can't steal. 38 feet from the pitching rubber to the point of home plate, 6'12" on the arc. We're playing no glove, so the pitcher gets what we call a drag step. One step right, left, or back. Two fakes or hesitation. Third arm action must be to deliver the ball home. A throw or a fake toward the base is considered one of your hesitations. 6'12" on the arc, and I believe they're playing open count out here. So leading off is going to be Anthony Sanchez, the left fielder for the 45's. And if you caught the Westchester Tournament of Champion breakdown, we mentioned how successful this 45's team has been through the years. Just an incredible string of success for them. And Moneyline up and coming, picked up a couple of great pickups. Looks like they got pretty much their full team out here. Should be a good tilt. So this should be a good one. And of course, starting Thursday, the Westchester Tournament of Champions starts. And Anthony grounds it up the middle. Nick Drabel pitch and catch, and that's how the game begins. So Tournament of Champions, also the TOC as we like to call it out here in Chicago. One of the four SSA Chicago Summer Series events. So we'll be doing Game Changer, live streaming. We'll have interviews throughout the weekend. And the Summer Series is really going to be a fun thing. So here's PJ Raines. Came over from Signature, one of the big off-season acquisitions. Some might say he was one of the top 2 or 3 free agents on the market, if you will. And PJ goes to center fielder backtracks, and Marty Dozen makes the catch. Of course, Marty's dad, Matty, runs the team. And of course, Matty's brother, Marty, also played. And that's going to bring up Nate Mercado. So that Westchester TOC is going to be historic because we just launched that summer series and we're tying 4 of the main events in softball together. We'll be keeping ongoing stats. And there's a little flare. That's going to drop. Nate can scoot. Drabel tried to pitch it to Marty Dozen, and that's what speed and aggressiveness will do for you. Everybody pretty much knows that Nate loves to run and will run on you if you fall asleep. And as a result of that, Nick Drabel tried to pitch it to Marty Dozen to try to prevent what happened anyways, which was Nate hustling into second. So here's Joe Yaris. And so that summer series will be keeping leaderboards, team standings for the 4 events combined. We'll also have, at the end of the season, all summer series first and second team, and we'll have all defensive teams knocked down by Eric Mandarino. So the 2-out double, if you will, gets stranded and we'll head to the bottom of the first, no score. And it's going to be a neat thing. We think it's going to pump up the interest in 16-inch softball. And there's going to be a lot of ways to follow it. We're going to get the Game Changer scoreboard hopefully embedded into our website before the tournament starts. So you'll be able to go there and click on it. We'll also have a link to go to the Game Changer Summer Series page, as well as a link where you can go see the live real-time bracket. So the SSA, best 16-inch coverage in the country, folks. So 45's can't do anything in the top of the first. And again, the live stream powered by Gold Rush Gaming. So leading off is going to be Drew Chavarria. Then it'll be Brian Davis and Marty Dozen. And heavy dose of former Mudville guys. For those new to the stream, back in the day, I had a team called Mudville. So you might hear me say that throughout the evening. For those of you in Chicago, you're probably rolling your eyes right now. So here's Drew Chaveria. Drew played a lot of football, 3 years in college, and there's a sinking line drive, and that's going to fall in front of Anthony Sanchez. Big aggressive turn, and Drew, a big tall kid, was a wide receiver at De La Salle High School. And it looked like Anthony's sun hasn't completely set yet. Infield is predominantly in the shade, but where Anthony is standing, he's in one of the last pockets of sunlight. So that's going to bring up Brian Davis. And coaching first base, my guy Red. Of course, Eric Davis also on this team. And Brian turns and burns, and P.J. Raines can't get to it. And it's been a while. They're going to send Drew Chaveria stand-up triple, 1-0. As Brian Davis, the last few years, Brian hasn't really turned and burned on as many balls as he used to in his youth. Brian capable of going all over, but he's a smart hitter. He knows the wind's blowing out, and he leaned on it and airmailed it over P.J. Raines. And that's going to bring up Marty Dozin, one of the truly exciting young players. And there, he just ripped it, handcuffed Joe Yaris at short center. So Moneyline takes a 2-0 lead as Brian Davis scores. Here comes Chris Stout. We got some legacy kids in this game tonight with Chris Lentine, Anthony Sanchez, two of them. Chris Stout on Moneyline. And there's a little contact there, but the umpire lets it go. So Marty Dozin didn't want to slide. So Stout is on. He's a legacy kid. Of course, Marty Dozin is. And I'm sure I'm missing one or two others. So Moneyline, 2 on the board here. Still nobody out as the first 4 hitters have reached. And here's Jason Gannett. He tries to go to right field, but got underneath it. And Dozin will tag and go to third. Stout forced to throw to second. And we talk all the time that a lot of times in 16-inch softball, you got to play in those margins, that percentage. So what you're really trying to do is you're trying to make teams get extra hits, and there's a long fly ball. Sanchez tracks it, another run will score, and Stout runs very well, easily into second base there on the long sacrifice fly. So throwing to the right base, very important. You don't want to give up real estate where you don't have to. And that's a productive out, even though Brian Nowakowski flew out. It allowed 1 in and 1 over. And here's Danny Judd. And I think Danny's a very important player. He's a good first baseman and a dynamic offensive player. Remember when he was a kid, and then he just had a series of injuries. You can see he's got a big brace on the knee and got into a motorcycle accident and couldn't play for a couple of years. And there he turns. Sanchez, fighting the sun, makes the catch for out number 3. But in the inning, 3-run score, and we'll head to the top of the second. 3-0 Moneyline, early lead here over the 45's. Wind howling out to right field, Thomas. You might have heard there in the background, Nate Mercado trying to get his guys to kind of snap into it. Pretty sure the 45's at some point will make a run. You don't win as much as they have through the years if you're going to let 3 runs dampen your spirit. First game of the night out here. It's very chilly, and we got a big weekend of softball coming up with the Chicago Summer Series in Westchester, TOC. So I'll only be doing 1 game tonight. Got to save the pipes a little bit. And this is going to bring up Chris Lentine. Of course, Chris has his brother Tom Lentine, who currently plays, sister Ashley, who used to play with the Impact Squad, a female, and she got pretty good amount of playing time. Ashley very big in the 14-inch co-ed stuff and girls softball. Terrific player. And there's Chris. He flares it the other way, but right on the spot is Eric Davis. And, you know, I like guys like Eric Davis. You know, Brian Sherwin, who just left Dynasty to go to Circus, is another one of those types of left fielders. When you look at them, you don't think they're fast enough or quick enough, but all they do is go get the ball. So here's Billy Smith. And of course, Eric Davis has an MVP when the SSA Men's Major National Championship was in Wheeling a few years ago. So, came over from the Vision Rewind group. And I tell you, he's been better at the major level than he was at the A level. So here's Jeff Mastari. We interviewed Jeff's dad a couple of weeks ago out at Forest Park. And I think Jeff has got a chance to be a good one. He's a tall, lanky kid. He's got good range, a good arm. He runs well. Playing third base for the 45's. He's a shortstop by trade, according to his dad, but they got Nate over there. Davis over to Kevin Knorr. The second baseman got there. Slight confusion, but Nick Drabo was really shaded toward third as a short center there. Good job there by Knorr to recognize it and not just become a spectator at second base. So here's Danny Villarreal. Danny pretty much a utility knife in the sense that he can do a lot of things. First saw him out in Harrison Park. He was playing center field. Now he's been primarily an infielder, and Villarreal comes through. Mastari is hustling to third. They'll hold him there. Danny Villarreal just slapped the ball into right center field, and with 2 outs now, Sammy Bertucci comes up, and we got runners on the corner. And nothing will get your team more back into a game than scoring a few runs. And even though it's early, if you're Tito's, you want to get that goose egg off the board. And again, the wind is howling. Back in the day, Sammy used to be a predominantly right side hitter. And there he pounds it toward the gap. That's going to drop in front of Martin. 1 run is in. They'll hold Villarreal. 45's and some good 2-out hitting here. They put one on the board to close to 3-1. And that was vintage Sammy Bertucci right there. And it brings up Izzy Sanchez with Chuck Regaldo on deck. Now, back in the day, of course, Israel, a Hall of Famer, had a cup of coffee with the Kansas City Royals. Back in the day, Izzy was one of the best first basemen to play 16-inch softball. And now he guides it, but right at Mandarino from his knees can't make the play. So Israel Sanchez gets an infield single. They do allow courtesy runners out here. And with 2 outs, the 45's have found a way to manufacture a couple of runs. And it brings up Chuck Regaldo with the top of their lineup chomping at the bit here. So Mandarino, one of the best defensive pitchers, got to the ball, but as he planted, he kind of slipped. And for all the rain we've had, the field is pretty hard. and it looked like his foot slipped out on him. And there's a stroke, but right to Knorr, stays down. But in the inning, 45's put a pair up. We head to the bottom of the second, 3-2. Moneyline leading the 45's. Again, we are live out at the Veterans Park District, Tuesday, Thursday Major League. And a lot of the big boys in this league. And they only got 10 teams, so just about every night you see good softball out here. Field's always immaculate. Some of the outfielders were telling me before the game they love playing out here because Richie Arico and the crew always cut the grass and have the infield meticulous. Nathaniel, the Sambo is for Sammy Bertucci. So take it easy on John Ryan. So here's Kevin Knorr leading off the inning, be followed by Eric Davis and Nick Drabel. So 45's are missing a guy or two tonight, but they still have a star-studded lineup. So 31 here. Looked like Kevin thought maybe that was a ball, and now he pounds it off of Israel into no man's land. And that's going to be a base hit. Israel was chugging, just couldn't get there. I think Sammy kind of slowed down a little bit because he saw Israel chugging. Leadoff man on. So Moneyline has hit the ball right on the screws early in this contest. And it brings up Eric Davis. And Eric, the last couple of years, have been hitting more balls down the right field line. There he goes high. And that ball's carrying. Anthony Sanchez caught it over the shoulder like a receiver. He overshot the cutoff man as he caught it and just turned and threw. Joe Yaris handled it, though. No chance for Kevin Knorr to take another base. And now with one out, Moneyline has a runner in scoring position. No problem, Nathaniel. Here at the SSA, we're all about the love, baby. So here's Nick Drabel.
You're good. Nobody near you.
And Nick swings up the middle. Yaris, a nice play. Quick throw to first. Picked up by Villaria, and that's why I mean he's a Swiss knife. During the summer, you'll see him at third, short center, second, first. And in emergencies, he can go to the outfield. So here's Eric Mandarino now. We'll see if Moneyline can generate some two-out hits here. As Eric is going to try to help his own cause here. And there's a little ground ball scooped up by Mastari. And I tell you, he's got a strong arm, folks. He caught that on the short hop and really never even stood up. He just kind of threw it from the crouch with a little zip on it. And anybody that saw his dad, Frank, will tell you, Frankie used to catch the ball at the shoe tops or right above the ground, and he would literally catch it and throw it from down there. So I wonder if that's just an inherited trait. So a little two-out threat. Moneyline can't score. And as we head to the top of the third, it's still 3-2. Pretty good ball game here. Early, seen a couple of nice defensive plays. Yaris up the middle last inning with a slick play, and Mastari there to finish that half inning off. And that's the top of the 45 lineup, second time through now. And here's Anthony Sanchez. So make plans, folks. Come out to the TOC. They will have food, adult and kid beverages, candy, popcorn. And there's a ground ball, Nick Drabel, and Danny Judd can't scoop it. That was very reminiscent of the play Joe Yaris just made. Joey was a little bit more on the infield. Nick was kind of out on that grass. Just couldn't get it there on the fly. Leadoff man on, and here's PJ Raines. Now, PJ got a lot of pop the other way. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to get up in that jet stream. He goes the other way. Great play by Knorr, but a little too tall for Mandarino. First two hitters on here. Kevin Knorr made a spectacular play just to get to it. I think he had a hair more time than he might have thought, but his momentum was taking him into foul territory, and he just airmailed it. Listen, CC, I can't have my counselor getting into trouble. So here's Nate Mercado. Nate has been a long-time two-hitter on this team, but tonight they got him in the three-hole. And there's a sky-high pop-up. And that's trouble, and it drops. Bases are loaded. So the 45's, a couple infield hits, and now a bloop. And they loaded the bases, and now the real road graders are coming up. Chris Stout, Joe Yaris, Chris Lentine, and Billy Smith. So right now, 45's have been pushing the issue. Got them set up for a big inning here. You know, as a manager, when you get the bases loaded, nobody out, you're thinking that you want to really put a crazy crooked number up, but at a minimum, you want to try to get at least two out of this. And there's a strike. And that's a little deep. And he walks a run in as Joe Yaris. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem tonight, because the way the wind is blowing, if you're going to try to throw the ball up in the air, it's going to get blown. It's going to get blown around a little bit. The only strike he got in that sequence was a flat pitch. So I like what Matty Dozen did. He just wanted to calm Eric down a little bit. And Eric Mandarino, who does not walk a lot of guys, has home plate jumping around. That just nicked the plate. And I think Eric is just rushing himself now. And there's ball four. He walks the second runner in. So we had a little sloppy infield defense, and now the rest of the guys are going to try to calm Eric down. Eric, a very feisty player. He's not happy with himself. Meanwhile, the 45's have taken their first lead of the ball game at 4-3, and there's still nobody out. And here's Billy Smith with Jeff Mastari. Eric starts out with a strike. And Billy Smith drives it toward the gap. One run is in. Two runs are in. Chris Lentine will stop at third. Two-run RBI single for Billy Smith. And the 45's now plated 4 runs in the inning, and they take a 6-3 lead. Still nobody out, and here's Jeff Mastari. And he hits a ground ball to Davis. He can't handle it. Another run will score. That ball was hit right at his feet. Looked like Brian was trying to catch and fire to second to maybe start a double play. Here's Danny Villarreal. He's got a hit in the ball game already. 7-3. 45's with 5. And there's a long fly ball. Dozen will make the catch. No tag. He's got a hose. Threw a bullet right to the shortstop for the first out of the inning. And here's Sammy Bertucci. Sammy doesn't run. as well as he used to. He's not slow, but he is a double play candidate if he puts it on the carpet. And again, Eric has really sped himself up here. And there's a little chopper foul down third. And, you know, Matty did kind of semi come out. I don't know if he crossed the foul line, but that would have been a situation. I had Eric for a couple of years on Mudville, and then 1 year when I was at Flash. And Danny and Eric have played together, so that was a set pickoff play, but Jeff Mastari got back. And there's a swing and a line drive, and Martin makes the catch. Another run will score. 8-3, 45. Oh, I see what happened here. Take that run off the board. Apparently the base runner left early. We were watching the catch, but they threw to second. Double play. So 7-3 ball game. They put 5 up. Took advantage of a couple of bobbles and a couple of walks to really expand that inning. Great job there by the left fielder for Moneyline. Or the right fielder, excuse me. As he made a great play there.
Go, be patient up there, hitting.
So Matt Martin is coming up to lead off. And Matt's been a leadoff man most of his career. He's kind of like a double leadoff man the way Matty Dozen does it. And there's a little ground ball to Villarreal. Is going to have to hustle and just beats him. And Danny at the last minute had to turn his shoulder, or there might have been a collision there, as Israel Sanchez was trying to get there. So Moneyline in the first 2 innings was hitting the ball hard. They just got to keep doing that. And Drew Chaveria, a knuckleball out to center. Second time Drew's been on. Drew, a very nice kid. His father is Phil Chaveria, who's on the Moneyline roster, I believe, but he's not here today. Of course, his uncle is Vic Chaveria. So Drew, a legacy kid, as Victor and a lot of his brothers played a lot of softball back in the day. And here's Brian Davis, and he'll roll it up the middle. Sammy caught the ball, and as he was going to the ground, threw a strike to second. 45 middle infield playing very well early in this game. So 2 outs, runner on first, as they just get to speedy Drew Chaveria on the fielder's choice. And here comes Marty Dozen, and he hits it to Sammy. Got a little handcuff, sinking line drive. Looked like he didn't know if it was going to come on the fly or not. And if you don't catch the ball clean, you're going to have a hard time throwing out a guy like Marty Dozen. It brings up Chris Stout. And Marty Dozen runs like a deer. Any type of stretch single with 2 outs, he's going to score. Jason Gannett got deck, and he tops it right to Sammy. Another little bobble. Bases are loaded. So Sammy, after making the great plays, had a couple of trouble and a couple of ground balls. And it brings up Jason Gannett. Now Jason, we saw him, I want to say at the Kickoff Classic, he hit a home run down the right field line. So he's capable of going that way. Of course, Jason was one of the good program guys that came over here last year when they kind of merge with Moneyline. And he did try to go the other way, but he pops it up, and PJ Raines. So bases loaded, they can't take advantage of a couple of errors. And we're going to head now to the top of the fourth, 7-3, 45's. And again, we talk all the time, when you're playing against another major team, you got to play clean. So 7-3 right now. Moneyline's had a couple opportunities the last two at-bats, and they've left a lot of base runners. Sorry, folks, had to grab a little swig. So it's going to be Israel Sanchez, Chuck Regaldo, and then the top of the lineup. And there's a soft line drive handled by Danny Judd. You know, it's funny, in warm weather, those are very routine balls. You get to this colder air, and you can never really think anything is routine. Yeah, Lee, you should be seeing the scoreboard, I would think, on the Facebook feed. And there's a flip out to center. Chuck Regaldo pitches him with a base hit. And now the top of that 45 lineup. And that's the one thing the 45s do have. They'll put a lot of pressure on you, top to bottom in their lineup. So defensively, you don't have a lot of innings where you can take a breath and just think you're going to go 1, 2, 3. And there's a little roller. This time Eric Mandarino makes the play, and that's going to be out number 2. Eric made the catch, didn't even look to second. And that's going to bring up PJ Raines, and I got to tell you something, PJ has been on fire early. And there's a little ground ball. And now they got Chuck in a rundown. And not exactly the way you would do it on film, but they get out of it. Good job there by Eric. Had a very fast base runner. He was running away. Chuck took the aggressive turn. He faked the throw, flipped it in behind. So I see my guy Pistol Pete checking in. So the 45s very uncharacteristically run themselves out of an inning. So it's Brian Nowakowski, Danny Judd, and Kevin Knorr here. As we're halfway through this contest, 45s leading 7-3 here, bottom of the fourth. I think it was Chaz. And this is the only game I'm going to do today. It's a little chilly out here, and we got a big weekend coming up. So there's the leadoff man on, is Brian Nowakowski. Flips it out into right field. Of course, back in the day, Brian actually played a little bit in the Minnesota Twins farm system. So that's going to bring up Danny Judd. Last time up, Danny kind of topped the ball. Didn't really square it up. You can see those trees in the background really blowing. As I got the wind blown literally right into my face here. And that ball's a little deep. And Danny smokes it up the middle. Israel got a hand on it, deflected it a little bit. Joe Yaris couldn't change direction. The ball bounced into center field. Runners on the corner now. So first two hitters on, first and third, nobody out here. Brings up Kevin Knorr with Eric Davis on deck. So
What's your line or two?
Moneyline trying to punch their way back in here.
Line or two?
And Nor tries to go the other way, but he reached, and it's harmlessly out of play. And there's Maddie's better half. You coming off of Mother's Day, you women are just fabulous. Fabulous. You guys come out, you support your guys, take the kids everywhere. And we appreciate it here at the SSA because a lot of these guys love it when their wife or kids come out to these ball games. So Kevin Nor here, this time he pulls it right at Sanchez. That'll score a run. And that's a little uncharacteristic there. Anthony tried to throw home, and that allowed Matt Martin to steal a base and get to second. And I can tell you Israel is not going to be happy with that play. And that's a tough play because you're thrown into a cross breeze. So it's not a normal day throwing the ball if you're an outfielder. And now you lose the double play possibility.
Nobody around you.
And a base hit here could make it a 7-5 ball game.
You're good, you're good, you're good. You're good.
And Eric tried to go the other way. Hey, I've been doing this too long. I didn't even flinch off the bat there. Even though Danny Villareal was saying, look out. So we reset here, runner on second, one out. Eric Davis at the plate. These are the types of situations where if you're Moneyline, you need to make sure you're cashing in on them. And that pitch a little deep. And I tell you, if you had a knuckleball on a day like today, and that's a nice job by Davis. He just reached out, punched it into center, and we got a 7-5 ball game. And that's a good piece of hitting because, you know, as an outfielder, you got to play a little bit deeper. And so that little humpback is a good ball on any day with any type of weather. So now they're going to shift Joe Yaris over to this side. Nick takes that pitch. Almost hung his runner out. That, you know, from the broadcast, that's my pet peeve. When a guy takes a big run up and then doesn't swing. And there you can see Israel fell behind in the count and he really flattened out. And there's a swing toward the gap. That's trouble. That's going to drop. Davis is going to score. Dribble digging for third, and he'll make it standing up 7-6. So that's a good example. Nick Dribble normally is just trying to hit line drives. That time he got just enough air under it. That wind was pushing the ball away from Chuck Regaldo, and P.J. Raines in right field couldn't get there on the backside. So now we got 7-6, and we got a pinch hitter, Tim Parisi. And he's hitting for Eric Mandarino. And Parisi strokes a hit, and we're all tied up. 4-run inning here for Moneyline. And we're knotted at 7. And that brings up Matt Martin. So good job there with the pinch hitter. It's Matt Dozen pulling out all stops here. And there's a high pop-up. Chuck Regaldo gets there. No advancement on that. And that brings up the top of the lineup with Drew Chavarria. And play it first, not in time.
You're gonna make me fucking bend down.
And there's a swing and a ball hit to center, and that'll be the third out. But in the inning, Moneyline picks up 3. Picks up 3, and they tie the ball game. So I'm just checking a little something here, folks. And I'll be right back with you. As I lost my restream feed. So feel free to jump in and get comments if I missed a couple. So here's Nate Mercado leading off, tries to cut the ball, and he dumps it in front of Eric Davis. Got away for a split second, but Davis recovered and got the ball in quick. And that's going to bring up Joe Yaris. So the 45's, after seeing that 4-run lead, and there's a base hit by Yaris. Mercado will get to third, no problem. And now here come the 45's, first and third. So here in the top of the 5th, we got a little back and forth. And there's a swing knocked down by Mandarino. He knocked it down and looked to third. That cost him any hope at getting a fielder's choice, but he did prevent Mercado from scoring. 1 out, and that brings up Billy Smith. Right about now, you're hoping for a line drive right at one of your more sure-handed fielders, but Billy Smith, a veteran, this might be a double tag. PJ Raines is flying. Strong throw to the plate. Dissuaded any thoughts about the double tag, because Billy Smith gave it a ride. 2 outs now, and it brings up young Jeff Mastari, and there you can see Frank bundled up watching his son play. And there's a sky-high fly ball. And both outfielders are calling it. Marty Dozen, the center fielder, made the catch. And that's the right play there. Eric was screaming, so was Marty. Last minute, Eric slammed the brakes on and avoided any kind of collision. Good concentration by Marty Dozen. Yeah, Joe, actually, you know what? I ordered one, and it actually was too small. So I got to look for one. The headset I got is like, it's almost like an office type headset, so it's not like having a bulb on the end or anything. So it just wasn't going to stay on. So I'm still looking. And that pitch is a little high. The microphone we used for the Westchester breakdown, we just ordered a high fly ball. So Brian Davis leads off with a fly out for out number 1. And it brings up Marty Dozen. So we just ordered one of those furry windscreens was actually made by the company that made the microphone, so I know it's going to fit. And so here's Marty Dozin, and he launches one, and that's going to get on. No, Chuck Regalo, what a catch! It looked like it got over the top of him. Chuck kept churning. Last second, he jumped up and made an over-the-shoulder basket catch. Terrific job there, as it looked like we were about to get tied up. That ball started out toward left center, got pushed back a little bit toward center, just enough to allow Chuck Regalo to get there. So it's going to bring up Chris Stout, and he pounds it. Joe Yaris, I don't know if he caught it on the fly, but you might have heard, Nate Mercado said throw it to make sure there. They asked Joe if he caught it. He said, I couldn't really tell. So the 45's right now, really the difference in the ball game as we head to the top of the sixth, 8-7, has been the 45's infield has been a little cleaner than the Moneyline infield. Both outfields doing a good job. And the two little bobbles that Sammy had did not affect anything. So it's going to be Danny Villarreal, Sammy Bertucci, and Israel. 8-7 ball game. And Matty Dozin is hitting 12. And there's a little fly. He tries to walk the dog, but it drifted foul. And sometimes when you hit 12, depending on who your 12 hitter is, you know, they're allowing that in league play. And just to make an announcement, in our national championship tournaments, you will still only be able to hit 11. But for Westchester in the midsummer, you can hit 12. And Villarreal now comes back and does what he does best, just hits a little rope into center field. So you can hit up to 12. If you fall below 12, it would be an automatic out. And if you only have 12 and you hit all 12, the important thing to note is if you get a guy ejected and you don't have a player to put in, then you forfeit the game. I'll be putting something up online before the tournament explaining that. So Sammy Bertucci, the runner on now, nobody out. 45's looking to expand this one-run lead. And there's a little ground ball, and it gets through. Villarreal get to third. Runners on the corner, nobody out. Nick Drabo looks a little aggravated. He kind of stopped pursuing that ball. I don't think he'd have got to it. It's a little too far for Kevin Knorr to get to, and here's Israel Sanchez. And Izzy, Drabo got a hand on it, couldn't hold on. It looks like he might have hurt a finger over there. Another run scores, though. And that has been the difference in the game. Just a couple of plays that Moneyline just hasn't been able to make defensively on their infield. Brings up Chuck Regaldo. 45's back to a 2-run lead here. And Chuck smokes it. This time Brian Davis does secure it. Tell you, Chuck is hitting the ball right on the button tonight. And if you're the 45's, that's great news. If you're the rest of softball, you don't want to see the guy hitting last in their lineup heat up. And here's Anthony Sanchez. And Anthony goes opposite field, but right at Eric Davis. But the 45's do scratch. They do pick up a run. We head bottom of the 6th, 9-7. So getting back to hitting 12, I got sidetracked. I never liked it because I always felt that if you're hitting guys just to play them, and the guy you're trying to sneak in there isn't hitting in your top 2 or 3, then I never really liked it because I thought you were taking at-bats away from your best hitters. But in league play and some tournaments, when you've got a roster like Matty has, he's got a lot of interchangeable parts. So he's just trying to make sure they all get work and they all get at-bats. So there's pros and cons to it. There's a sky-high pop-up. Anthony Sanchez will take care of that for out number 1. So they're in the 6 hole, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th, and they're in jeopardy of maybe not getting their top up here again, depending on what these hitters in the bottom half of the lineup do. I think a lot of times managers don't. And there's a little infield pop-up. Little Villarreal, former outfielder, looked like he was going to make an effort to get there, but Sammy called him off early. And there's the Impact squad. They're out here. They play next. Tommy LaVar and the boys. And Flashback, I believe, was playing iron on the other diamond. I think that game is over. They might have, Flashback might have a doubleheader down there. I'm not sure. That game actually started 15 minutes earlier than this game. They had a quirk in the schedule. They had 3 games on field 1 and only 2 games on field 2. The normal times out here are 7:15 and 8:30, but the other diamond started at 7. Full count on Danny Judd now. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th, nobody on. And Danny hits a ground ball to Yaris, and it goes through his hands. So I don't know, maybe the Gio Maluk is still alive and well. And we'll see here, they're going to courtesy run with Jason Ganick. Brings up Kevin Knorr, and even if you don't score here, if you're Moneyline, you'd like to see another hit or 2 to work your way a little closer to the top. Kevin Knorr been swinging it pretty good today. And there's a little ground ball off of Israel. This is going to be close, out at first. And that's an example. Israel left-handed. He got spun around and chased it. But the good news was it took him right to his throwing hand, and he had a perfect lane to throw. So we head to the top of the 7th, 9-7. So again, we are live out here at the Tuesday-Thursday Men's Major League Veterans Park District in Melrose Park, Illinois, live stream powered by Gold Rush Gaming. If you're going to put slots in your establishment, give them a call at 630-307-0500, or you can email them at inquiries@goldrushgaming.com. Tell them that you found out about it through the live stream. So the 45's have 2, 3, 4. They're in a good part of their lineup here, looking for some insurance here in the top of the 7th. PJ swings and he gets a base hit. May be cold out, but he's on fire. Hey, Wags, text the Flash guys and get me a score. I believe they played the first game tonight, didn't they? So here's Nate Mercado, leadoff man on. 45's have been efficient today. And they scalds that ball past Davis at third. Brian Davis picks it up, throws it to third. Stand-up double for Nate. Now with nobody out, 45's are in a great position. Everybody yelling, get a hit, but this is the time of the game where 2 ground balls to second gets you a 4-run lead. And Joe is capable of hitting the ball anywhere on the diamond. So let's see what he tries to do here. If this was earlier in the ball game, I would agree with that sentiment about just, go for your hit. But at this point, you got a 2-run lead on a cold night. And there's a long fly ball. Nobody's getting to that ball. Joe Yaris defies the odds and just raked one deep into left center field for a 2-run double. See, I like that swing because if it gets caught with Nate Mercado at second, it's a double tag, and it would have been a productive out. So here's Chris Lentine, 11-7, 2 big runs here in the 7th. And again, that's the difference. I mean, we're at the point where the Moneyline team, they're all going to be going on their 3rd at-bats. And that's potentially the difference between being at the 9-hole in the 7th and being at the top of your lineup or having your 2-hitter up. And Chris Lentine launches a ball into right center field. Another run scores. Lentine, a 2-run homer. Chris Lentine, first team All-American and an MVP. I believe the last time we did the Major National Championship tournament a couple of years ago. So the 45's have exploded here. They pushed out to 13-7. Let me correct the scoreboard. And it brings up Billy Smith, and there's still nobody out here. So they had a 5-run inning. And that ball takes a big hop over Gannett. Billy Smith, a big turn, slides to a stop. For you old-timers out there, very reminiscent of Ricky Gaincars. If I tried to do that today, I'd probably break both of my ankles. So now the courtesy run with Anthony Sanchez. You know you're having a good inning when your courtesy runner is 5 slots behind the guy he's running for. So here's Jeff Mastari. And again, I think earlier in the game, and Mastari hits a rocket. So the hit parade continues here as the 45's have broken this game open. Brings up Villarreal. Yeah, flashback 1-5-1. So here's Villarreal, 2 runners on, still nobody out, and there's a fly ball. That's going to advance 1 runner to third. But I think the 2 key points, Moneyline had a few fumbles on the infield, and that led to several runs. And they left a lot of base runners on in the 2nd, 3rd, and I think 4th inning. So only 1 out here, runners on the corner. And Bertucci drives in, and that's going to get past Davis. Another run scores. Here comes Mastari. This is going to be a 3-run homer for Sammy Bertucci. 15-7. So they got 16-7. I'm not sure if that's right. But they have blown this open. It was 9-7 coming in. They got a 7-run inning. Earlier in the game, the 45's had a 5-run inning, so they've scored 12 and counting in 2 of the 7 innings. And these have been all basically hits here. And there's a little flare, and Nick Drabel, I got shielded by his body, but I think he might have made a one-handed catch. And that's a hard first out, folks. But this inning, the 45's have been launching the ball. I'm trying to look at the flags. This is a weird part because, you know, we show you that flag over on Diamond 1 by the building. And that flag is blowing straight out to right field. But on the warehouse, I'm not sure if you can pick it up on the camera. And Chuck, another bullet. And they finally get out of the inning. But Chuck Regaldo barreled up all night. Just didn't get as much love as he'd like. But the flags on the warehouse seem to be blowing more towards center field. And it's weird because there's one flag, those of you familiar with the area, there's a Burger King over there on North Avenue. And that flag is blown in one direction, but toward the far left of the car dealership that's over there, the flag is blown in a different direction. But the 45's brought out the whipping stick, put up a nasty crooked number, and in a do-or-die bottom of the 7th, Moneyline is down 9 in what was a nip-and-tuck game for the first 6 innings. And Eric Davis, hard ground ball. Nate Mercado, throw got away from him just a hair. Danny Villarreal, cool customer, made the play. So, Moneyline is kind of like Circus. Circus has not played a lot of games. And Circus struggled a little bit last night, but ended up winning their ball game. There's a high fly ball. That's going to be easy for PJ Raines. He puts it away. I tell you, I really like this PJ Raines. He's very confident using his hands. And we don't see enough outfielders in 16-inch softball that use their hands enough. Here comes Kyle Engels with 2 outs getting a swing. And there's a little ground ball. Nate Mercado makes the throw. Nate's got a little bit of that sidearm throw. So the ball sometimes acts like a screwball. And came back. So the 45's, after falling behind 3-0, jumped out to a 7-3 lead, saw the game tied. And from that point forward, they took over. So again, just to remind you, TOC, the first ever Chicago Summer Series event, we kicked that off. It's going to be a fun weekend. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on all weekend between live streaming, interviews, and we're going to be doing a follow-up show to go over all of that, show you guys the leaderboards next week, and might have some more in-depth interviews as we cover 16-inch like nobody else. So on behalf of SSA Broadcast, Gold Rush Gaming, this is Gio saying I hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and you'll be seeing a lot of me this week, so you could be sick of me by Sunday night. Be safe, everybody. Talk to you soon.